Hey everybody, we got a great guest, but before you get into it, let's hit you with that intro. Hi everybody, welcome to The Empire, where we like to engage with everybody from pastors to actors, rappers to trappers, and everybody in between. And yes, we like to have interesting interviews with interesting people. And guess what? We have another great guest for today. But before we get into it, please like the video, you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're really trying to build it, and we're doing really great things out here. If you guys didn't know, my name's Antonio Lee Miles. Yes, the one and the only, the real one, not the phony. And if you didn't know, then you don't know me. And so we're so glad. And like I said, we have another great guest today, writer, poet, author, so many great things. And her name is Lydia Theon Ware I. Welcome to the Empire, Lydia.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. And how you been?
I've been doing good. I've been doing good. I'm going to be working with empowerment edutainment. They're going to be going into schools to do theater and poetry and puppetry, and I'm writing the poems for their script. So I started doing that this morning. We're going to be starting next week, I believe. So that's something that's brand new that's happening in my life.
Cool. How did that come about?
I went to they had a production at the Box in Riverside, and I went to it, and I was so impressed by the caliber of their work that I wanted to work with them, and so I got their information. That was in December, and now we're just beginning to meet up. I sent my resume in, and they we had a call last night, and Sharon was the individual that she's the executive director, and she wants to bring me on board. So that's what happened.
Cool. Cool. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. So for people who may not know who you are and what you do, Lydia, can you please tell us all who you are and the things that you do?
Well, okay. I'm Lydia Theon Ware I. I am a self-taught poet. I am the editor of Cartless, the magazine for individuals that are homeless. I work with the Path of Life Ministries when we do workshops about Cartless. Um, I am a workshop leader for Blacklandia, a subset of Inland Institute, nonprofit organization, is a publisher in Inland Empire. Um, I work with Starting Over Incorporated as a house manager. And all around, I go to RCC. I'm taking African American Studies and hip hop right now. That's all I'm doing right now is taking these couple of classes. School just started, so I'm like in the process of getting my feet wet, doing all the homework and everything, and practicing my hip hop, the routine. I know the routine. I don't do it very well, but I'm working on it.
Gotcha. So it's like dancing hip hop?
Yes, actual dancing hip hop. It's like,
Okay.
yeah. So the instructor, he's really cool. He's a truck driver. He's like an entrepreneur. His music plays while we do the beats, while we do the steps and stuff. And so it's just, it's really cool.
Cool. Yeah. At first, I didn't know if you were talking about like if it's dancing hip hop or learning like the history of hip hop. I wasn't really sure at first.
Oh yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good workout.
it is.
Awesome. Okay. And Lydia, can you give us a brief story of like how you grew up and where you grew up, just as brief and to where you are today?
I grew up in Ontario. I was born in Los Angeles, raised in Ontario, California. Um, I started doing poetry when I was 13. Um, it started in like the sixth grade. I had a poem. I had to write a story like what was my favorite hobby, and I wrote about daydreaming, and the teacher hated the poem. And the next year, I turned in the same poem because that's just how you do it when you're a kid. And the teacher, she loved it, and she submitted it to Cal State San Bernardino, and I won honorable mention. So I went to Cal State San Bernardino, went on stage, shook somebody's hand, and got a little certificate, and been writing poetry ever since. Um, I live in Rivers. I lived in Riverside for like 20 years. Um, I I was homeless for like about 15 months before I moved into Riverside. And when I moved to Riverside, I started going to RCC. I started taking dance classes because it was the only thing I really could focus on. And when I was homeless, I had this situation where I didn't feel like I was myself anymore. So I changed my last name um, to Theon Ware I. My birth name is Jefferson, of course. Um, but I changed my last name and it changed who I was completely, more than just being myself. Like it became who I am, and it is who I am. RCC was the first official place that gave me my last name. Um, After that, I did it legally through the court systems and everything like that. So it's on my driver's license, it's on my social security card. Um, and I am grateful for the ability to come through homelessness to the other side, you know, to the point where I worked for the Path of Life, Path of Life's homeless shelter as a residential service individual. Um, I've worked for as a peer support specialist for 13 years, and I was a peer educator at one point, and then now I'm a house manager, starting over.
Nice. And starting over is like a homeless shelter or something like that?
It is a nonprofit organization that helps people um, that are AB 109 or that are homeless and they have nowhere else to go and they're trying to get back into society. And it's transitional living. So they have 8 houses, working on getting more within the LA, Riverside County, San Jacinto, Hemet, Eastville.
Okay. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I want to assume, like, I guess I'll talk from personal experiences that, you mentioned dancing a lot, and I know that then dancing is really therapeutic and like
Yeah.
relieving. So is that what it's like for you as well?
Yes, it is the happiest. It's the happiest time of my life is kind of like dancing. I didn't start. I mean, the first time I danced was when like I did Single the Mile when I was like 7 or something. But I didn't start. I didn't dance again until I was in college, and I was going through a lot of different difficult things at college. I was at Cal Poly Pomona, and I was just taking dance as I was going through a difficult period at the school, and I fell in love with doing it to the point where I just want to do it for the rest of my life, kind of. So I've been dancing at RCC. I didn't major in it because I didn't have a major in dance at the time, and I'm just getting back into it. I graduated 2007, going back to school now. Um, it's it's interesting because I wanted to be someone who was in movement, like to be a dance therapist and stuff, but life happened and I became a peer support specialist. But I'm now just going back into it, trying to do dance and never stop. Just never
Nice. And I,
stop anymore.
I think if you're open to it, I think you should definitely look into like partner work dance, like salsa, bachata, merengue. Those things are really fun. Dancing with partners.
Yeah, I'll when I get more mobile, like more nimble, so I can like follow my partner with dignity. I will do that. I've taken a not square dancing, but I took a class at RCC that was partner dancing. I got it like a C, but it was really fun.
Gotcha. I don't think you should wait till more nimble. I think you just got to jump in the fire. You know what I mean? You just got to jump in the
Yeah,
fire. But I wanted to ask
true.
you, because you work for Blacklandia, correct?
I do. I still do.
Yeah. So can you tell us what is Blacklandia, its importance, and your role there?
Blacklandia is came out of the George Floyd 2020 incident, where the more the Black voices wanted to have a chance to be representative in the Inland Empire. And so artists, poets, Romaine Washington, Ginger Galloway, Lisa Henry, Jesse Coates, um, gathered together so that they could bring a different voice to Inlandia, a Black voice, a voice of um, Black individuals, people of color, just to give them a chance to have their voices represented, heard, understood, um, given the ability to be out there and say, this is what a Black body is, this is what a Black person is, this is how I sound, this is what I look like, this is how I feel. And we're given the ability to just speak. I did a workshop called Even Butterflies Can Holla, and it dealt with the anger of Black women and how Black women can't be angry really unless we're called strident or bitchs, and um, you have to control your anger or not even be allowed to use it as a woman. I mean, Black men cannot be angry as well, but Black women have to be submissive and sweet and intelligent and powerful and strong. And you can be angry as a warrior in a movie, but in real life, you have to suppress it. Sometimes you can't even frown. You have to smile.
Hmm. And what's your duties there?
I am a workshop leader. I create workshops, and so we do proposals. We would submit them to Lisa Henry, the curator at Riverside Art Museum, and she's also one of the directors of Blacklandia. We submit our proposals, and then we create them, submit them. They get approved, and then we create the curriculum for them, and then we promote them and get the audience that we need to get. Um, and then we just do the workshops. I've done workshops on poetry, done workshops on mostly poetry, just writing. Last one I just did was called Dark Matter. We just finished this past Sunday, and it was with 14 to 18-year-olds. We did Mammy Till's exhibit. We did a focus on Emmett Till. His life is 14 years, and we did paintings of the kids. They did artwork of their mom. We wrote poetry on puzzles. We talked about chess, um, the black and white pieces. How there's so many intricate pieces of chess, but when in real life, the game of real life black and white, you could die as a Black person if you don't play the right moves. And if you do play the right moves, you could still pass.
Got you.
Um,
What's some of the proposals that you've um, proposed?
some of the proposals I proposed, a few of them were like Black grief, um, just the ability to. It was like a really extensive proposal where I was talking about how an individual should grieve and how they do grieve, how people grieve. And the proposal I had was Dark Matter was a proposal for If Butterflies Can Holler. Another one that got approved is talking about let me think, what was that one? I got approved. I can't
And
remember
usually,
right off the top of my head.
and
Huh?
usually the proposals require funding, correct?
Yes. And Landy Institute funds the proposals. We get funding from California, Riverside County, get funded by the National Endowment of the Arts, get funded by poets and writers.
Okay, so that's all in the
Yeah.
proposal, right? Is the funding, what the project's going to be, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, when we do the proposal, we submit it, and then and Katie and Lisa look at it, and then they have funding for Blacklandia through the different like poets and writers, um, the Endowment for the Arts. Um, when the proposal is accepted, then the funding is granted, and then we we do it.
Gotcha. And Lydia, so like, let's say people have never read or heard your style of writing. How would you define your style of writing?
Um, Christian without rhyming. I write about the Lord. I write about my love for the Lord. I write about homelessness. I write about I tell stories about nightmares. Um, I write a lot of different things, mostly, but it's vibrant, um, original, kind of like it doesn't. I evoke imagery that I just say things that usually cannot be said. Um,
Like
and
what?
a lot of it is about the.
What do you
I'm
say
sorry.
that usually can't be said?
I write about assault. I write about assault nightmares. I write about things, homelessness and the inability for people to be seen. Um, I write about are we chess pieces? I asked the Lord, are we chess pieces? And he responded, we are masterpieces to him. And how he sees us, he directs us, he thinks us. And he believes that we are a living queen and a living king of true beauty. And our light is a luminosity that brightens the darkness in the world, brightens the light of the world.
Yeah.
And so those are that's my poem called Peace. That's a part of it. Um, I have poetry here. I've also been published in Chola Needles,
What is that?
which Chola Needles is a a publication that is based in Joshua Tree, California.
Okay.
Um,
So you've been
and they
publishing
do
with that company.
issues. This yes, it's a
Okay.
nonprofit.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. And it's interesting because I was going to ask you about the importance of your faith and your writing. All right. And it seems that, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, that your faith is a big part of your writing. Correct?
it is. It is.
And
I
has it
I
has it always
yes.
been a part of your has have you always had a Christian faith, or is this something that's kind of relative new?
It's 9 years and let's see, October, November, December, January, February. 4 months new. I've been a believer for 9 years and 4 months. Before that, I was a Buddhist for 12 years. And in October 25th, 2014, I had this I call it a death mirror, this thing where I was asleep, but my body was getting weaker and weaker, and I felt like my spirit was leaving me, like I was gonna not wake up. And I called out, Lord, Lord, Lord. And I'm a Buddhist and I'm doing this, calling out, Lord, 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 3 times. And the Lord Jesus, he changed whatever was happening to me into a regular dream. And I woke up and it was 4 a.m., October 25th, 2014. And I gave my life to the Lord that morning. And we watched a comedy tape together. I felt like he was right there with me as I watched a comedy tape, Monique's Big Black Comedy Jam. And I felt like I never looked back. I turned in my Butsudan, I turned in my Gohanzen, which is my scroll that I would chant to. I turned it in that Sunday, and they said they would hold it for me, and I kinda like I was crying as I turned it in because I was like 12 years of my life had ended in a way, um, but I never looked back. I've been a Christian ever since, and, I was 45, and I found Jesus waited for me. I found him finally. And it's amazing that I feel like they say that he knocks and he waits for you to answer. I felt like he had knocked and he had just sat there at the door waiting for me to open it. And 45 years is like a long time to be without him. But now I'm with him and I felt like there's no way I could live without knowing that Jesus loves me. And he loves I feel like he loves and he waits for everyone, and he waited for me, a lost sheep with no wool. My soul had no wool. I had no wool. I had no value. That I could see, but he saw it in me, and he brought it out to me, and so that to the point where um, I know I'm loved. I know that I have friends that love me. Um, Whenever I go to the end of everything that I have, he always supplies me with success, and um, he supplies me everything that I need. Me, the one that did not believe. I was into the goddess. I was into Wicca. I was a Buddhist, Nichiren Shoshu Buddhist, and he waited.
Yeah,
that that
it's so beautiful because it's like what is it? Finding out that you're thirsty, but you didn't know you were thirsty in a way. That you
yeah,
were some food that was missing in your life. You're like, wow, never had this before. Where have you been all my life? You've been
yes,
right
the
here
living
the whole
water.
time. I'm
I
sorry, say
know.
it
Have
again.
you been the living water? Just the water at the well. The woman at the well was like did not know that the water that he offered her was the water of living life and the true water, the true, And it's just I didn't know that I was part at all. I thought life was fine, and I was wrong.
Yeah,
And
I
so
guess.
when I write my yes,
No, I was gonna say
when I
you
write
never
my
know. You never know until you know, if that makes any
yeah,
sense.
yeah, you don't know what you've been missing or what you haven't had until you've actually partaken of his life, his word, his truth.
Yeah,
Um, so that's what my poetry is about now, for the most
gotcha.
part.
I love it,
Yeah,
and I think you also mentioned that you or offline we spoke that you have a magazine called Cartless. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Would you like to
Yes.
talk a little bit about it? Why you created it? What's it about? Who's it for?
Um, okay, Cartless is in 2000, 99, 2000, I was homeless for 15 months. And years later, I realized I had my own apartment and I lived there until late last year. Um, and I realized that the reason that I was able to get out of homelessness 20 years ago was that I didn't have a shopping cart. I didn't have a shopping cart, so I didn't gather all my things and put it into an actual grocery shopping cart. So I realized that a shopping cart is a temporary destination. You don't worry about getting off the street. Once you have a shopping cart, you worry about the cart. You worry about making sure that it's safe, everything in it is safe. You collect things to put in the cart. Your cart becomes your temporary your home, and some people gather 3 carts or 4, and then they have people watch their carts while they go gather things to eat or go shopping or go to the library or go float a sign. They have people watch their cart, and it's like get you off it doesn't get you from outside. It doesn't get you off the street if you have a shopping cart. So whenever I worked at when I worked at Path of Life, I would tell people, "Don't get a shopping cart. Just have a suitcase, a blanket, and or backpack, a blanket and a backpack, jacket. Don't do the shopping cart." That's where the name Cartless came from. The magazine itself, it's for individuals that are homeless, um, for them to get their voices heard, for them to get their energy in a printed form to be out there, distributed amongst them for the people that are homeless, for anybody who wants to read their work. Um, we were we were presented with articles in the Press Enterprise. We did readings at the main library, with the old main library, down from the Riverside. And some of my students, some of the writers in my classes that I did not know until later that they were like English majors. And when they did the reading, they told me that they said that they were English majors and that they had started to believe that they could no longer write again, that they would never pick up a pen and do it again. And because they were homeless, they had lost everything. and they had given up on the idea that they could write. And when the stories that they did, that were printed in the Press Enterprise were phenomenally and were well written, very well written. And I gave them the ability to write again. They told me, so I was like, wow. I feel like the idea of being able to express yourself, to show that you have talent. Homeless people aren't given that avenue. They're not given that. They're given $2 and non-eye contact, and or they're ignored. But when you talk to them, learn their story, give them a piece of paper and a pen, give them some paint and some just a place to sit down and relax and create. They're up for it. They step up to it,
Yeah.
and they're very talented out there.
Beautiful. So how can, anyone who may be, without a home or homeless, be able to find this, be able to participate, be able to like, listen, 'cause in my opinion, I think a lot of homeless people might be reluctant to want to share their story or feel like they're welcome to do things. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but yeah, can you help answer some of those questions?
Yes, we're gonna start up this year again, most likely in the summer. We usually go to the Path of Life shelter, and when it before it was a 24-hour shelter, we would go in the afternoon when it was empty, and we'd invite people that were homeless that were in the shelter to come right. But now it's like the shelter is 24/7, so that there are people anybody can come in and they can stay there all day, and usually they want to watch TV, so it's kind of hard to do a workshop inside the shelter.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a place where anybody could come that is homeless um, and participate. We're looking to start up in either late spring, early summer. It's going to be in the daytime, and anybody that young people, older veterans, we're looking for people that have experience, who are living homeless or living unhoused, have experience living unhoused, who want to share their work. um,
And
it's
this will be in the
sometimes
Inland Empire?
yes, it's going to be if it's not going to be in San Jacinto, that's where I live, it's going to be in Riverside always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said for all ages, anyone who's experienced being unhoused, anything like
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yes.
Great work. Great. This is super cool. And um,
There's
is there a website people can find this at? Say someone is currently homeless and they can find like maybe some old work. How do they do that?
they could go on inlandiainstitute.org. There's also on Facebook, there is a Cartless website where the workbooks are like we did a video recording of the lessons that we did for um, during the pandemic.
Hmm.
So the lessons are on the Facebook page Cartless, the magazine. They could go on the Facebook Cartless the magazine um, and look at the different we have pictures of, we did a photo shoot of the second year um, artists, writers. So that's on Facebook as well. So they could go there, do some of the um, do some of the prompts and submit their work that way if they want. They could upload their stuff to that page if they like, or they could contact me on that page and we could just get together. We had 3 magazines so far. Um, right now they're hard copy, they're not digital, but that's their next step is to work on making the hard copy digital. That's one of the things we're gonna be working on this year.
Super cool. And it might be an easier process than it may sound. Making it digital, everything's digital. We live in a digital world. You know,
Yes.
I was gonna say you're a digital girl. That's funny. Um, and
Material
little
girl.
Madonna, future Madonna
Yeah.
quote. You know, I've noticed that in some of your writings, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there seems to be a lot of like mental health speaking about and talking about. And why is it important to address mental health?
True. It's important because it just needs to be adjusted. It needs to be spoken about. Nobody, nobody that wants to really address how easily people can be misdiagnosed, how people can be over-medicated, how people can be ignored, how people's lives can be uprooted by a system of misinformation. Um, Sometimes when you go, this is okay, this is me personally. When you go to psychiatrists, they see you, they want you to take, they want to put a stamp on what you are as an individual, and they want to give you their prescriptions, not find out your history, find out what works for you, and say, oh, let's continue to work with that. They want to make sure that you take what they want you to take so they can say that what they give you is actually working too. And it's myself, I have a mental health diagnosis, and I've had two phenomenal doctors that have helped me in the past, Dr. Johnson and Dr. Tremmel. And they listened to me, they laughed with me, they helped me get through some really difficult times. But that's two out of several that were not as perceptive of me as an individual. And as a peer support specialist, someone who has lived experience, someone who can walk alongside of the people that have gone through what I've gone through, homelessness and mental health, um, you walk alongside one, and everyone that has a diagnosis and everyone that has an addiction, they're their own best expert. They know what they need because they know who they are. And there's a recovery model, which is what peer support specialists are. And then there's the medical model, which is psychiatrists and clinicians. And I don't feel like they're meshing very well right now. I feel like they're not dovetailing the way they need to. Um, Sometimes I want to write a book about the recovery model and the medical model, and how I feel like there is an idea of peer support specialists are patients with a badge. They're not respected. They are looked as if they were a patient that just had a badge on, not as a person of worth. And maybe that's
Yeah.
just my own personal experience within the system, but I feel like it needs to be addressed because I
And you might
know
be
NAMI
right.
works. Yeah,
Go ahead. I didn't mean
I
to cut
know
you
that.
off. Go ahead.
I know that NAMI works very well, very deeply, and telecare works very deeply with accepting the recovery model, but there's a long way to go of combining the 2. There really is.
Got it. Can you explain for people who may not know what the recovery model is? And two, why do you think um, they're not meshing with the medical model?
Recovery model is looking to the person as they are their own best expert. They are the ones you walk alongside. You do not dictate to what that person has to do or what they should do. You listen to what they're having to say. You give them you walk alongside them as they go through their life, and you ask open-ended questions. You give them the ability to speak their truth. You honor their truth, and if they're not resistant or non-compliant, they don't want to take their medication, they are saying that they have the ability to say yes or no to it. And it's kind of like it's the ability to choose your life, the ability to say yes to your life or no to your life. If I don't want to take the medicine, um, and I want to remain homeless, or if I want to remain in psychosis, if I want to continue to hear the voices, if I want to continue to be depressed, then the recovery model, we want to walk along and say, I hear what you're saying. And I am here to say, I tell my story and I say there's the other side. There's the other side of depression. There's the other side of mental illness. And this is what I have done. And I understand that that's not what you want to do. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And how do you want to do it? And where do you want to go from here? The medical model is take this prescription, I'll see you in 3 months, and I know what's best. This is my understanding. I know what's best because I've had 18 years of school. I've got the book learning. I know the DSM-5, um, and I know what the signs are. I know what the diagnosis is, and I know that medication helps. And the medical model and the recovery model can work together. Medication does work. Um, Counseling does work. Therapy works. Seeing someone that can prescribe things for you that will give you a better sense of quietness, a better sense, less anxiety, um, a brighter sense of yourself so that you're not as depressed. Um, all that works. But if you're not ready for it, if you don't want it, being in recovery, you got to take the steps that you want to take. And the medical model sometimes does not want to accept that, and they call it noncompliance or resistance.
Mm,
And it's just someone
mm.
being able trying to say, somebody's trying to say, I want this and not that. Recovery says, okay, what do you want? Medical model says you need to be 5150.
Ooh, so that's how you become 5150 by not you become non-compliant because you want to do your own thing, according to the
Yes.
medical method. And that
According to the medical method, that's
oh,
my opinion. That's in the 13 years that I've worked with mental health. Um, yeah, yes.
got you. And 5150, folks, is basically like being put into like a mental hospital, correct?
It's a 72-hour hold. 5150 is the number that they use, that the officers use when they are called in to do it, or when clinicians are called to assess where that person needs to be put on hold for 3 days. And
But it
um,
has to deal with
there's
mentally, right? It has to deal with the mental, right?
yes, yes, it
Okay.
does. Mental health, yes.
Continue,
It's like
continue.
when someone is acting out of a normal behavior or quote unquote normal behavior, um, they're walking around um, erratically speaking, um, behaving in a way that is not socially acceptable. 5150 means that you are a danger to yourself or others. You're a perceived danger to yourself or others. And so um, the police and Riverside Police are working with clinicians right now so that clinicians will go out with them and be the first responder so that they can determine what's best for that individual as opposed to sending people being sent to jail or being harmed. So Riverside is working on that. Um, I've spoken to different officers and they discussed how they are training, how clinicians are being trained to go out and be first responders in that regard. Um, so
Wow,
people
that is
that
so
have
cool.
the huh?
That is so cool.
Yes, it's needed. It's so needed. It's so, like, needed. So it's kinda like you don't want people to be hurt because officers, their response is to protect the scene, to protect themselves, and when they see something that is out of sorts, they're not trained to respond in a de-escalated way, to train to ask, "How are you feeling? What's going on? What can we do?" Um, Asking questions in a de-escalating way, or standing even the way you stand with someone who is having difficulty seeing reality. You have to stand like at a 45 and and stand in a way that is um, a way that makes it safe for them to be themselves. And
Wow.
sometimes people just can't have reality within them, and they have to be 5150 to protect themselves and to protect other people. It is a
Yeah.
necessary thing, but sometimes if you could talk to people, you could talk them down into just, you know, have you taken your medicine today? Do you want to take your medicine? Do you have it with you? Would you like to take it? Would you want some water so that you can have that? Do you? Do you feel like you are going to hurt yourself? Do you have a plan? There's the questions that people that go out there can ask. If you have a plan, do you have availability to carry out that plan? Um, that's one of the main questions you ask. Is
Yeah.
do you have a plan if they say they want to harm themselves? Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Super heavy. And I know it's not an easy job. Yeah, I know it's not an easy job, especially like getting these counselors to help join the police force. And it's going to be a tough task, but I think the more help we can get, the better. And as long as people want to help themselves, I think that's great. And I wanted to talk to you about is Howling Butterflies, right? Your poetry
Yes.
book, right? Um,
Yes.
to me, when I was going through it, I was like, it's kind of like a memoir. And then I also I also think we talked about how you're working on making it a novel. So talk to me. Is it kind of like a memoir, and why are you considering making it a novel?
Okay, this is odd because the Lord has told me to like write like 33 more chapters. So I'm gonna have 44 chapters. It's gonna turn into like it is a memoir. It was like I really had a really difficult year. The last 2 years have been really difficult. So I documented it. Um, Last year I became homeless again, and I was not expecting it, and so um, I lost my house of 20 years. I lost my cats, both of them, Mask and Lion. They were going to be 21 last year. Um, I lost my car because it was an accident. I walked away from the accident, which is a blessing. Totaled the car. Um, so everything just like happened. I ended up quitting the job that I had for 5 years. Brand new position in the same company, very good company, telecare. I just needed to focus on my wellness, and so I wanted to be well, so I would be able to help other people, which is what I was doing, but I needed to focus on me, so I left that position, and so I spent, like, a year just trying to rediscover, like, who I am. And so to turn this book, this little chapbook that I had, to turn it into a novel is a challenge. It's right now a chapbook is 11 chapters, and I've got like 33 more to write. And um, it's a good challenge because I want it to be a memoir slash fiction because I have a lot of cool ideas. I'm a creator. I know I'm like an idea individual. I can come up with ideas like very well in a second. Um, and I have all these different ideas and I want to put them in a novel. I want to have like 44 chapters of how you maneuver homelessness, how you create a life, how you open yourself up to the Lord, how you don't lose faith. That's one of the things that I did not lose. I mean seriously, the car, my house, my cats, um, my my mental health was questioned for a little bit. I lost a lot. I lost everything, like everything. But I didn't lose my faith. I didn't blame the Lord. I wasn't angry at him. Um, I don't know why, but it was the only thing that I have from then until now, and then from now until forever is my belief in the Lord and in Jesus and the Holy Spirit and Father. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that. If that's all I've got, then that's what I'm gonna take, and that's what I'm going to go forward with. And it's
Mhm.
unbelievable because once you lose everything, um, it's pretty devastating. But when I'm walking with Jesus, it's like, okay, okay, this is over, this is over, this is over. But you're here,
Yeah, perspective is
and
everything, and
that's okay. That makes it okay.
yeah, perspective is everything, and you really don't. Faith really doesn't exist without it being tested, is what I learned. You really don't know what faith is until you're tested about it, and it's kind of a
True.
wild thing. So cool. I look forward to it. Um, we have a short amount of time left, but if you have a poem that
Yes.
you want to share with us, we would love to hear a poem. If you have a short poem you want to share with
Okay.
us.
All right. I'm going to. I've got a couple from. Okay. I've got one from Chola Needles called Total Surrender. Um, I read. I don't memorize. Not yet, anyway. Total surrender. Twisted into my swollen throat lies a grain of sand, so small that a microscope cannot blink. On this tiny grain of sand, my hope relies. This tiny grain, upon further inspection, is a mustard seed hidden beneath a fairy wing. All my hope relies on being able to taste this tiny grain of mustard, oh, so small, soaking in the bottom of a roasted water can, full of deeper tears, under the spigot that won't shut down the despair. Raised to hate my curiosity, I still want to believe in this mustard seed, even though I can't see it, or smell it, or breathe it, or lick it, or maim it, or send it back to heaven. I hunker down, hold my breath, and I inhale. I taste, I swallow, I choke, I believe.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I caught a lot of the Christian references with the eye of the needle and heaven and mustard seed, of course, classic,
Yes.
super
Yes.
classic. Lydia, what is something that most people don't know about you?
Let me think. I like to dance. I love to dance. I was a dancer. Everybody knows everything about me, really, because I talk a lot about who I am. Um,
It's got to be something in there,
Something
even a
in there.
little thing.
Something in there that nobody
Even a little
knows.
thing. It's got to be something in there.
um, I'm an open book.
Like, for
Um,
example, what does the I in your name stand for?
oh, spirit. I stands for spirit. I chose my name. My last name used to be Jefferson, Lydia Florence Jefferson. But my last name now is Theon Ware I. There's an entire story behind it. Um, would you want to hear the story? It takes like about 2 minutes. Or
Come on, hit us with the
okay,
story. Let us know.
okay, here we go. When I was homeless like 22 years ago, I was at a library and I got a library book. I spent time in the library. Corona Public Library. I got this book called The Devil's Day by James Blish, and in it there was a character named Theron Ware, and he was a warlock and he could command demons. And I'm like, I need to command these demons that are going through my life right now. I need to have control over them. So I said, I'm gonna be Theon Ware, because I didn't remember the name of the character. So when I went back to the library and I got the book again, I'm like, oh, it's Theron, it's not Theon. I'm like, okay, well, Theon is the female version of Theron. So I'm Theon Ware I. And few years later, like several years later, after I officially changed my name, I looked through. I wanted to change the meaning behind it, so I looked through a dictionary. I had a dictionary. I sat on a bus bench and I looked up all the parts of my name: Theon, Ware. I looked it all up, and I came with the meaning of my name, which is the entire meaning spiritually is like fifth, earliest fifth, a warrior windblower, an outer desert meadow spirit. Fifth is like 5 letters in the name. Um, fifth, earliest fifth, a warrior windblower, an outer desert meadow spirit carried by the wind. Elion is right after Eon in the dictionary, and so Elion means carried by the wind. And so that's what my name means. And I always get it mixed up, but okay, it's fifth, earliest fifth, carried by the wind, a warrior, windblower, an outer desert meadow spirit. That's the whole meaning of my name. Um, I stands for spirit because I comes before J. Um, Spirit is just the way it worked out. Um, that's what my name means.
That is so beautiful, super awesome. So it came from So it came from a book of like Warlock and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. It was,
Cool.
I was going through a really difficult time when I was homeless, and homelessness 20 years ago is completely different from homelessness now. Um, and so,
That was her
I
phone
want
going off on
to
us, folks.
that was my phone going off. Yes. I messaged him for something else. But, I needed to just not be a Jefferson anymore. I couldn't be. I wasn't. I wasn't.
Gotcha.
And, I believe that, my name now is it's just who I am.
Yeah.
It's just who I am.
So no more moving on up to the east side.
No more. No, I've
Gotcha.
come down
No
to
duplex
earth.
apartment.
Not in the sky, no.
Not in the sky, right? We in
Yeah.
San Jacinto in the desert, you know.
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
Lydia, I want to
It's
thank you so much for
quiet
being on
out
the
here.
Empire. Can you tell us some of the current projects you're working on?
Current projects. I just finished Dark Matter, Blacklandia's Dark Matter. I'm working on a chess game of it's chess, but it also has dice. So I'm working on developing a workshop based on that. Um,
Black people need dice.
I'm working yes, even Butterflies Can Holler Part 2 is coming this summer, or the spring or the summer. We're gonna revisit the anger of Black women and where we are now. It's a good how angry can we be now? Um,
Gotcha.
and
Aren't black women known for being angry?
that's the thing. There's the trope, right? But it's not the classic, of course, we're Black,
Mhm.
we're angry. What? No, we're Black and we have emotions and we wanna share them. But if we do, we get shut down. So how do we share them if we can't share them? But we have to share the one
Yeah.
that everybody
I think it's the
sees but
approach
doesn't understand. Hmm?
that really gets
I'm sorry?
everybody.
The approach. Oh, there is this
What is
beautiful
going on with the live stream?
oh, what do you mean?
Oh man.
What happened? Are we okay? I'm looking. Hello? I'm live. Are you still there? I could do a poem. Okay. I will wait patiently. Wait patiently so the Lord can say his words. Okay. Okay, Antonio is gone. I don't know if this is still live, but I will give you a poem as I wait for him to come back and dismiss. Okay. Peace. Are we chess pieces to you? You are masterpieces to me, he replied. Why do you feel like a pawn on a board when you are a living queen, a living king of true beauty? As my creation, as my child, as my breath, I made you, I watch you, I read you, I see you, I think you, I direct you. As my queen of beauty, as my king of beauty, you are charged with being a light beam whose luminosity lessens the shadow's power. There is no wooden board on a table in the sky that I sit at and play a game with. There was a crib that I stood before, umbilical cord in hand, prayer in my heart, gazing at you. There was a neuron gently buzzing to life, next to a color wheel of blue and gold brushes as your egg was planted so softly in your mother's womb. As I gazed at your budding glory, I dipped my golden brush into the paint of your soul, and you began. Let's see. Antonio? Okay. I think I'm still alive. Um, okay. All right. Well, Antonio is working on getting back on. I still might be on the air. Um, we're gonna go until 1 o'clock. I just want to give you poetry and talk about the love I have for the Lord. Um, he is good and he is kind and he wants the best for everyone. That's that's just it. In religion, he wants to hear your voice and he wants to hear your sound. He wants to hear your stories and your struggle and your time. He wants to give you time. Jesus does. And I think that that is the most beautiful thing. Of course he died. Of course he came back. That was 2,000 years ago. And he came back and he stayed. Is that impossible? That's impossible, but he did it anyway. So I'm going to give you a poem until somebody comes back and says it's over. Okay. Let me see. I've got I've got a long one called Sand, but I don't want to give that one to you. I'm just I'm just playing. Here we go. Dancer. True love is being inside. Outside is a heat wave of tense and cracked veins. Inside she brings her homelessness, her sense of being not enough. It shows. The walls are filled with cobwebs and the dishes in the sink smell like forgotten books. Wishing for a way to be a Proverbs 31 woman, she prays, and God, well, God, busy, maybe not, but he is big, and she wants to serve him. The song in her heart was dying. Maybe if she danced, his magic would surround her again. I'm a big person, but I love to dance. And I think that if you are big, dance anyway, move anyway. It's the most beautiful thing to do. Movement can heal everything and all things. Movement is Jesus, movement is like Jesus. But movement is something that can make all the pain go away, and it could hurt your knees. So be gentle. But damn, I'm gonna see if Antonio is texting me and see where the stream is at. Okay. Well, I'm not leaving until he comes and says goodbye. There. I don't know if anybody can hear this. The Empire Podcast, brought to you by the Empire Podcast. Let me see. I'm going to. I've watched people be alive and I watch them like struggle with the things that they're doing, like look and look. I'm like, oh, so unprofessional. But it's like it's real when things are going wrong, you have technical difficulties. So now I'm gonna have more grace for people that are struggling to get their feet up and working and running. It's always good to learn new things. It really is. I'm texting Antonio. Actually, I'm emailing
Wow.
him.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
What a nightmare.
I've been doing poetry.
Jeez. Technology.
I've been doing poetry the entire time.
I'm like, sorry, folks. I don't know what the heck happened. The computer was just like, yeah, we're just gonna kick you out. And it's like,
Wow.
what? But then I go to a different web browser and I could still message. Like, anyway? It was. Thank you, Lydia, for staying on, commenting. Um, if we have someone watching, comment down below. Let us know what you could see. This has been so wild. I can't. That was so crazy. But we're here. We're here now. Gotcha. Were you
Yes.
reciting poetry? What were you doing to kill time for us?
I gave him 2 poems, and I talked about the Lord and, like, how he's waiting for you and how he doesn't leave. I was just spreading the light, you know? I didn't know if I was live or not, so I gave him 2 more poems, and,
Thank you. Yeah, you were still. I don't know what happened. The host, me, for some reason, got kicked out, but she's still on. And then anyway, I don't know. Hey, as they say in the church, the devil's a lie. The devil's a lie. So we're here. Remember earlier we
Yeah.
were talking about faith being tested? Oh man, that was a
Yes,
test right there. Man.
definitely,
So
and,
thank you
like,
for
okay,
staying
do it.
on.
Yeah.
But you were telling us about your current projects, right? That you were working on. Did you tell us all of them,
Yeah.
or did we stop midway?
Right now I'm looking for women, for the Women's House. So that's what my main goal right now is making flyers for RCC. Um, I am doing
You said
African American studies.
you said for
I'm
the
sorry?
women's house. Is that what you said?
Yes, Xavier House. It is
Can you
starting over
explain what
house.
that is?
Xavier House is a sober living for women. Um, it's located in San Jacinto. Homeless women that have AB 109 status, which is realignment status, which means that they've been incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, and they are currently homeless and they're on probation or parole, and they need help. They need assistance. Um, the rooms are 2 people per room. It's $750 per month. If AB 109 will take care of that, or you pay out of pocket, and we have 7 beds available. So I'm looking. That's my current. Um, that's one of the things that I'm going to be working on this next month is to fill our house. And they have case managers that come weekly. They also have peer support specialists that come and do projects with the women. Um, Utilities are included. You supply your own food. Um, House supplies are provided. It's like a
Gotcha.
two-story house in a very nice neighborhood. Um,
Is it a limited amount of time that they could stay there, or
there's
is
a
it
fireplace.
unlimited?
6 months to a year, I believe. There's also
Okay.
something called Path to Seed. Path to Seed is classes that they take that are help them get ready for work, and there's a stipend that's included with that, and that's twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays that they go to. So there's workplace preparation that they get people ready for. Vanya Quarles is the executive director, and Vanya Quarles, and she has a passion for people that have been formerly incarcerated and people that are incarcerated. So she
Okay.
spearheaded starting over, and so that's what she's passionate about. And
That's
she also
beautiful.
has a yeah. She also has a really cool bookstore called Shades of Africa, located in Corona. And just shout out.
Oh, shout out to
It's
you, Shades of
yeah,
Africa. Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So
Lydia, I want to thank you again for being on the Empire, sharing your stories. Can you, let's say 100 years pass by, 200 years pass by, half a millennia passes by. What would you like
yes.
your empire to look like? Whether it's your Christian faith, Blacklandia, dealing with homelessness, family, etc. What would you like your empire to look like half a millennia from now?
Millennia from now. I wish there would be no more paying for children. I wish there would be dancing and art and creating. Um, no more, no more trafficking, no more assaults, no more pornography. Just love and health and wellness and big people being able to move and be themselves without having to worry about weight and in Jesus, of course, and Holy Spirit and Father. Just relationships, talking and no machines, no screens, just long conversations, eye contact, and people like looking at each other in the face and just being amazed by the beauty that they see and the melanin would not matter anymore and black and brown and off white would just believe in each other and share dinner and dance and write poetry together and just celebrate breath and celebrate the Lord and celebrate the sun, both the sun in the sky and the sun of the sky. That's what I want 100 years from now, just for us to have fun. I think we should have fun now. Life is too short and time is not promised. So dance, sing, play, write, look at other people's eyes, in their eyes, see their souls, and just believe in God, believe in yourself, believe in love, believe in fun, believe in movement, believe in fatness and skinniness, and just believe. Believe in life, believe in love, believe in Jesus.
Beautiful. And that's what you would like your empire to look like? How people will remember Lydia 100
Yes,
years from
because
now?
I'm gonna get it all started. I'm gonna get it all started and then it'll continue. All
I
of
love
that.
it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Especially the dance part. I love the dance. I think it's one of the best ways of spiritual and artistic expression is through dance.
It's
Um,
key, yeah.
Lydia, I want to thank you so much for being on the Empire. Can you please tell everybody how they can find you, support you, know more of your message, get your work? Can you please let everybody know how they can do those things?
My Instagram is at Lydia Florence Theon. I've also got at Cartless Magazine. I've also got at The List. Um, those are my Instagrams. My hmm, should I give out my email? I don't think that would be good to give out my email.
It's
But
up to
I'm not
you.
on okay. If you wanna email me, it's simple, ltwarei@gmail.com. That's tell me what you think of my poetry. Um, inlandinstitute.org. Look at them, look them up. They are phenomenal on getting people's voices that are marginalized out there. They're a publisher. They have a publisher work if they, you know, if they choose. So submit to them, submit to the Lord. But yeah, Lydia Florence Theon. That's my Instagram. I don't have a YouTube channel yet, but
Cool. Yeah. And, it's up to you if you need a YouTube channel, but I think as long as you have social media where people can find you, that's really the juice.
yes,
And probably a website. Those are probably
yes.
really good things. And I'll have
Mm,
all of her stuff in the description eventually,
okay.
put that in there so everyone could find you and just click on those things for you. Um,
Yes.
but I think folks, we had a great time today. We learned a lot about Lydia and her name, where it came from, how she found God after abandoning, Wicca culture and things like that. We learned about how Christian faith has been so part of her, as she also has a magazine called Cartless, which is dealing with, which is related to the homelessness and fighting homelessness, and how it deals with abandoning the shopping carts, right? And having just like a suitcase and things like that. And she's just doing great work out here. And again, I want to thank her for being on. I want to thank all of you guys for being on. Please support the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, helps a lot. If you want to donate, support, all the contributions go back into the channel, go back into the community. You can do our Cash App, which is $THE Empire Podcast, and the rest, which will be in the description. And my name is Antonio D. Miles, if you didn't know, the host. And other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure.
Lydia, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. See you guys in the next one.